Hey, this ISUPK, this is something the world needs to know. This ain't just citywide, we're going worldwide with it. This knowledge that everybody needs to have, you feel me?
I saw the thing, oh man. Move. Big boot on me fringes. Girl, I tell me say she love the way how me change it.
We're the ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. We teach Hispanics, Blacks, and Native Americans that they are God's chosen people. All right. And what's your name, bro?
Lois Graves.
Lois Graves. My name is Tazia.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you, brother. So we're gonna talk about MLK, Martin Luther King. I just want to ask you, like, are you gonna? First of all, what are you gonna do on that day? Because it's coming up this Monday.
Well, it depends on the weather. I might be stuck here, so.
Right.
But most likely I'll just be at home chilling, because most likely everything will be canceled. My kids will be off of school. I'll just be at home chilling, kind of recouping after I do this get done with this little tournament. But in general, I understand the significance of the day. Like,
what is that?
But for me, it's significance of a day for a person who actually fought for real rights, not this equality stuff, not for real human rights, like the right for humans to be able to do what they want, where they want. And I also understand that the Martin Luther King that they promote to us daily is not the one that they killed. The one that they killed was the one that had an awakening where he really understood, I may have led my people into a burning building. That's the one they shot and killed. And I also understand that he wasn't killed there, that he was smothered in his hotel and at the hospital, that he didn't die from them bullet shots either.
Damn, you just took away 5 of my questions.
No,
let me ask you this.
I know.
Let me ask you this though. Like, did him being the leader of that movement that you're talking about, did that benefit Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans?
Ultimately, no.
How come?
Because integration hurt us more than anything. We should have stayed to ourselves. Yeah. Because when you don't have enough power yourself, your enemy not gonna respect you right.
Right.
He gonna walk all over you when you've basically come to the table with him and said, oh, well, how about we work together? When he's never agreed to those terms. These are the terms you're trying to bring as the oppressed person. Mm-hmm. That doesn't work out. I mean, it worked back then to get them into a better situation than they were in, but going forward, it hurt us overall, in my opinion.
No, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. But how about like, what would you tell someone? Because we usually get a lot of like, we're all supposed to, like you said, we're supposed to stick together and be one. Tell me what you think. You personally, what do you think about separating from others? Like because the whole purpose of his movement was to bring everyone together. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, like, what do you think about that? Like, what do you think? Should we come together or should we stay separate?
I think that we should have separated, and we still should, and then we can come back together once we get our own stuff together. Once we got our own stuff in order. Once we actually own our own land, we have our own power companies, our own things, where we can actually be equals. Because right now, if we come together, one group still has all this power and say so, where the other group doesn't. So it's like it's still not equal. Like it's not an equal coming together. It's more like just joining somebody else. It's like you're not really coming together because you're not equal. You're not eye to eye.
Right. So when I was telling you earlier that with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, and we teach that Hispanics, Blacks, and Native Americans are God's chosen people, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if I would, I'm gonna ask you, like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think that myself and these brothers here, are we different or are we the same?
You said death?
No, are we different or are we the same?
Different, well, in my opinion, I believe everybody's the same because there's only actually one race of people on the planet. which is we're all human races and everybody came out of Africa. So everybody on earth is African. Everybody originated in Africa. At least that's what logic and science will tell you, that everybody spawned from one place on earth and then spread out everywhere, and then the diversity, the different looks, height, all the became different as humans changed environment, but we're all one people.
The victors, they get to rewrite history, right?
Of course. The history is written by the winners, not the losers.
Right. So like what you said about coming out of Africa and we're all the same and we all should come together. That's the same ideas that MLK had. And ultimately, that's what got him clapped. Because he thought we were supposed to come together, and then he saw that, like you said, he said that he was leading his people into a burning house. He saw that, and he was ready to make that separation. And that's when he got clapped on the balcony of that hotel.
True.
You know what I mean? But we also believe that, we also know that myself, I'm from Honduras, right? He's from around my way too. This brother's from, he's black, but we know that we the same people because outside of the scriptures, we read the scriptures, right? Outside of that, we study our history, and we have a common history. Like we were conquered by others, and we still are conquered by them. But let me ask you something. How would you, since if we have differences, how would you bridge that gap? How do you like put Hispanics, blacks, and Native Americans together? Like how would you do that if you had the power to do it?
I think we do it by what we're doing right now. My personal opinion, I learned about Hebrew Israelite stuff, most of it in prison, and I attended Kemetic spirituality. So I just kind of bounced around, just kind of getting different viewpoints. And more than anything, I think when knowledge is applied, like when we get rid of all the opinions about what this is and we get to the actual information, like you said, when we study our common history and we start seeing like, okay, this is that. Like I tell people all the time at my job, like, what is a Latino? Well, that's a Spaniard and an African mix, but the African didn't choose to mix with the Spaniard. He was raped by him. That's why they speak that language, but they have browner skin. They're not light like a Spaniard. A real Spaniard is more light. That's a European. Like that's a white person basically.
Let me tell you something. So, because I do my homework too.
That's pretty much what happens. Like a Puerto Rican, a Haitian, it's an African mixed with a Spaniard. Like, but it's a conquered people that they speak this language because they were just like with slavery. They dropped them off in Jamaica first, then Haiti, and then they came to America. So the languages and the things that people believe in are usually remnants of their master from the past and has nothing to do with their actual history and where they're from.
I understand. You think it was better when we were separated?
I believe so, and I think it would be better. I wrote a movie about it.
Okay.
It's called Black Exodus. It's about what if black people left America in around the 1930s or 40s, what would America look like? In my belief, it would be a third world country. If you take away black Americans, just black people, if you just limit it, you ain't even got to include nobody else. If you just said straight black people, America would be a third world country. No boxing, no sports, no none of that. Without blacks, none of those things exist. There is no NFL, there is no NBA, there is no Hollywood, there is no, all of the major institutions in America wouldn't be here. The entertainment, all of it would be gone.
Ask them where we can look that up. Watch it.
For what?
Where we can look it up at.
For what?
Where we can look it up at.
Where can we find your script or your movie?
Oh, it's in production right now. I'm trying to raise funds for it. You can look up on IMDb. It's written by Alex West, produced by Ezekiel JB. He's also the voiceover for the Shark and the Tough Guys movie that's on Netflix, and he was in OBX.
And you got our number? You got our card, right?
Yeah.
I think we can help you get some funding for that.
Yeah.
We like to see our people. We like to see our people survive and our people come to light, and that's something that they need to see. So I think that we can try to.
That's the whole point of the movie, man. I made sure that the writer was black. The producer was black, because at the end of the day, we need to have our own things. And that's not racist or nothing. That's the same thing that everybody else does, has their own things, and then they sometimes deal with other people. Like, there's nothing wrong with us having our own stuff that's completely ours alone, that nobody else participates in, that ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. That's not racist or anything else. That's just said we got our own stuff, and then sometimes we come over there with y'all stuff, and sometimes we might invite you over here, but this is our stuff over here though. Like, this ain't got nothing to do with, and if we haven't invited you, then you can't come over here.
Right.
Let me ask you something personally. What do you think about, I'm Hispanic, that brother's black. Are we different, him and I?
No, because like I said, I believe a Hispanic and that's all, you have African blood. That's how you got melanin. It's the only one way to get it, in my opinion. There's only one way to get melanin, and that's from the person who possesses it. So at some point, you had to mix with us to get it. That's the only way you can get it. Otherwise, you light. You can't take the sun. Like, my kids are mixed. You know what I'm saying? Like, the ones that are a little darker don't really need as much sunscreen. My daughter's really light. She still burns. She needs sunscreen.
Right.
I got black ass friends. Never heard them say that. Never heard them say, "Hey man, I need to put some sunscreen on, man. It's kind of, it's kind of bright out there today." Never heard them have that issue. So, I think there's a lot of things that are in our right in our face, that are simple explanations that tell you, well, this has to be this, because if you are from Israel, how could you be a white pasty person if you can't stand the sun today? How did you do it back then with no sunscreen? How were you outside working all day in a hut in one of the hottest places on earth? How? If I dropped you off there today, you wouldn't make it with no sunscreen. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's so I think a lot of things are just right in our face.
Yeah.
And I think when you apply knowledge, it takes, if people are willing to accept it, because we live in a time where even facts aren't facts. Like, everybody has what they call their own facts. Like how people say you're speaking your own truth, which means that you're talking from your perspective. You're giving an opinion. There's the truth. There is no your own truth. There's the truth, and then there's lies. There's nothing in between. Like, that's it. I don't get all this extra stuff. I don't rock with none of that.
Bro, and,
I don't rock with none of that, man. I don't do that, bro. Like,
yeah, man. And now, I'm gonna leave you with this, but we really appreciate your time. But in the Holy Bible, like, there is no opinion in there. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, and that's that. You know what I mean? And like, that's our book of records for Hispanics, Black, and Native Americans. That's our facts. That's what we do, and we don't go outside of it. You know what I mean? And like, what you said is correct though. Like, there's no opinions.
Yes. Like I said, I came to know about you guys in prison. One of my friends, shout out GF. He's in Minnesota State Prison. He's a Hebrew Israelite. He's doing 100-something years, but he was my mentor for my critical thinking class, my critical thinking and like character trait class. And he asked a lot of these same questions. Do you define yourself as black? And we had these conversations because we were trying, because we have a lot of identity crisis as far as like, what are we? Where do we come from? I mean, how do I define myself? Because in that class, we found out by some people saying, well, I'm black. Well, how do we define, or how should we define as a whole, or like what's correct or what isn't correct? We kind of still be going through that whole thing. So I always like to get enlightened with any information that can help me to kind of decipher that whole thing. Like, okay, where exactly do I originate from? Like, I know there was a bunch of tribes, so now I understand, like, what tribe did I originate from? How did I who am I historically, not who am I today? I know my last name has nothing to do with me. Like, that's not who I am historically.
But, well, shit, I say we was about to finish, but now that you brought that up, would you ever try to like identify yourself within the Bible?
I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know. Honestly, I'm very open-minded to a lot of things, so I'm not closed off to any of those ideas. I'm closed off to most mainstream religious ideas because I know they're full of shit.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot of things where I understand. Like, no, this is something. Like the Hebrew Israelite thing, the Kemetic, like that's something. But I'm just kind of, I just kind of like to ingest it all. I grew up around the 5% nation, the gods and earth. So I just have a lot of different Muslim people. So I've had a lot of different stuff where I've kind of, that's something and that matches with that. So,
But you do know that there's only one truth, right?
of course, that's why I just said I don't do the your truth. I know there has to be one. That's why I haven't necessarily locked in and said, because I'm still discovering. I'm still collecting my information and kind of coming to my, where am I at? What makes sense?
Do you believe that that's in the Holy Bible?
I believe that within the collection of books, that it's in there somewhere.
Okay.
Because I believe that some of the other books have things in there that are factual too, that either are good information or is a historical record of something that took place that we need to take mind of. Like, why did this happen? What happened right here? So I just think that to really have a full understanding of it all, we kind of need to do what I praise the Muslims for doing, is study all the books and then decide based on the fact that I've studied all of them that now I know what is the truth. And then I can come to that conclusion because I've looked everywhere. I've looked around and I've surveyed the landscape and I still choose Islam. Or like for you guys yourself, I've looked around, I've studied everything else, and I'm still a Hebrew Israelite. Like, I know that this is the thing because I've looked. I didn't biasly choose to be a Hebrew Israelite and just stick there. I looked everywhere. I looked around for the other information that could possibly get me in another direction. It wasn't there. I stand here. That's how I am with it. You know, I'm just collecting all my information and then I kind of decide what makes sense to me.
All jokes aside, you know how niggas be like, I'm this and that for life, this and that for life.
You don't receive her what? Her planet! In the Isupk, we ain't worried about the coronavirus. How many of us do you see with masks on? Right! How many of us do you see out here afraid with gloves on?
140 for the rebel.
The world turned its back on me. I'm a cripple. We got soldiers, he got soldiers, but I got different.
Don't sit here and talk shit and put the hop on. What's going to do? If you're going to cross the line, cross the fucking line. Otherwise, get the fuck out of here. Right. That's it. Right.
Please, forgive me for the time that I did. If rankings give me, have your respect to your apprentice.
Nosotros somos una nación. Nosotros somos la misma gente. Nosotros.
El mundo sepa que nuestros hermanos negros y hermanos moranos ya no estarán separados, pero se unirán para hacer grandes cosas por todas las 12 tribus peredas de Israel. Kwam Yasha'al.